Hello, we are live. Welcome to the Forge Forward podcast. My name is Phil De Cruz, your host. I'm joined by our fearless leader, Cordy Smith. Mate, say hi to the fans out there.
It's a Monday and happy to be here, everybody.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hey, mate, we're 14 days out into we get to see these game-changing insights at the Forge Summit. And it's crazy. I'm getting really excited, mate. I got goosebumps right now. And today we've got someone special, mate. We've got Alex Potts from X&R Consulting. Say hi to your fans out there, mate. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? I am enjoying this lovely Monday afternoon.
Beautiful.
Absolutely divine, like the weekend was.
Beautiful. Finally, getting some spring and summer weather. Lovely.
So Alex, we've got you on the pod today. We've got a whole range of topics we're covering, from the technological, the advancements in the future of technology, human-centered design, and one of the big topics we want to touch is around the component of safety, both psychological and from a physical point of view. We all know how important it is to businesses, particularly in the blue-collar sector, to make sure that they've got their safety systems in place and they're considering their employees and their third-party touch points at every possible place along their journey. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey and some of the experiences and insights that have led you to the Forge conference?
Yeah, thank you for having me. So my career started off with an apprenticeship in electrotechnology with this Australian Submarine Rescue Service based over in Perth, which is weird and wonderful. And through that, at the time I got tapped on the shoulder to say, hey, you're really good at putting together reports and documentation. Would you consider being our safety person at the same time and looking after all of our compliance? So being a dutiful apprentice, I said, absolutely, I'll do whatever you want me to do. So that lasted a few years, and that was when I was on the tools, both onshore and offshore. Did a few other things, moving into oil and gas, and then shifted across to Melbourne to join an engineering company where I took over control as one of the quality assurance staff. Again, high-end engineering, mostly software analysis, high-end analysis of different types of failure mode in court cases, expert witness cases, but also looking after anything that goes on or under the water, including some aspects of mining, so bridges, boats, submarines, oil and gas, that kind of stuff. From there, I shifted into the construction industry over here in Melbourne still. And I've been in the construction industry in some way, shape or form for the past 6 years now, working with both head contractors, being your construction companies, your builders, as well as consulting with smaller companies, smaller builders, and subcontractors as well. So those trades that are helping head contractors deliver their buildings. So across all that, I've been doing safety, quality, environmental aspects, and then looking into how to digitize businesses and find both improvements in efficiency and efficacy in delivering these, what I call SHREC, safety, health, risk, environment, and quality programs. I like SHREC because it tends to get people to think about it, and a little bit of humor brings it out. But
it's quite funny, Alex, that you say that, because I heard that mentioned, and I've been in the space for ages, but I hadn't heard the SHREC comment. I heard someone say SHREC, and I'm going, what are you talking about? It's SHREC. And then you politely added the risk element, which I went, oh, now I'm on it.
I mean, thankfully, it's all risk assessment and liability management, that kind of thing. But also it helps to contextualize back to businesses that it is all the consideration of risk, and there is always going to be a business effect there, either to them personally, to their workers, or to the business as a whole. So contextualizing it like that, you get a lot more understanding from business leaders who aren't always across safety, environment, quality aspects.
And I can't think of anything where we can place the donkey, but that's another story for another day, right?
I mean, it is green. There's a lot of onions. Get out of my swamp. I don't know. There's lots of opportunities.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question, Alex? Technology is going out of control right now. It's AI in particular has unleashed an unstoppable force in the world today. People tend to fall into three categories: either the visionary, the cautious explorer, or the resistor. Which one would be you, and why?
I definitely throw myself into the visionary camp.
Yep.
I believe technology is there to make life a little bit easier for us. And AI is a fantastic example where construction, being a traditionally quite conservative industry, or late to the party industry for picking up new technologies, there's some fantastic opportunities here for businesses to upskill their workforce, but also find those efficiencies and efficacies within their business to make life a little bit easier. And very much the AI piece, especially around safety management and risk management, is coming to the forefront. There's a few businesses in the construction technology world that are really bringing AI to the masses. And we can see that those companies that are embracing technology and are implementing these opportunities within their business are the ones that are surviving and the ones that are growing and thriving in an industry which, for the past couple of years has definitely seen some very big players fall over and fall into administration.
Yeah. Look, you've used the word efficacy twice, and why I would lean into that word is because often the challenges we have in business is for the soft elements of business that don't seem to be the ones that are important, often left on the seat, and to get things in play and programs into place with guys that are super busy on project schedules, have always done it my way before. How have you found that efficacy piece to drive that home into large workforces where safety is paramount? Death is a part of the daily job if you get it wrong.
It definitely can be, and the consequences are extremely, as you said, death is, you can't come back from that, no. Unfortunately. With a workforce that is highly skilled physically, and we've got some absolute artisans within the industry, concreters that can do things with concrete that you can't replicate. It's insane to see just how incredibly talented the workforce is. But at the same time, we've also got an aging workforce of tradesmen that are, let's say, not as technologically trained or have a background in it. There's still a very high proportion of the workforce that doesn't have a smartphone.
Yeah.
So for businesses to bring in technology and do it in a way where it's not adding administrative overhead or an additional level of time wasting, we can really see that the technology is now helping people on the ground to deliver their job well. Fantastic examples in the quality assurance space. No longer is filling an ITP, printing out an Excel spreadsheet, ticking the boxes, taking some photos, printing them out, attaching it all, stapling it together and sending it off in a big envelope. There are now technologies there where you can take a photo on your phone and send it, and it's a live quality assurance document that all stakeholders can be a part of and be involved with. And it's exciting to see that there are people on the ground at the coalface that are seeing the real benefits to this, because they're saying, well, you're making it easy. And if it's easy, it'll get done. Yeah. And that's also a very big piece in the safety world, is when you start adding red tape and layers of paperwork and checklists and forms, templates, all of this kind of stuff. If you're not making it easy for the end worker to complete, it won't get done, or it won't get done to a sufficient quality whereby you can actually get some insight out of it. So the real benefit there is, what red tape can we take away as opposed to putting in place? And you want to increase your safety objectives and follow the goals that the business is trying to achieve, reducing your injury rates, reducing your incidence rates, shifting from being reactive to proactive, moving from lag indicators to lead indicators. You can do this with the appropriate technology, but more importantly, now that we are embracing these smarter technologies, we're able to see a behavioural shift in the workforce. And it's the behavioural shift where people are now thinking before they're acting that is really making the biggest difference. That's the enabler.
Yeah, I love it. And being involved in a business where we've had to think about the design of ITPs, SWIMs, and all sorts of things, technical documents that need to be completed. One of the things I am feeling that AI has an opportunity to bring to the table is that interactive element, where you can actually start to collate hazards and issues in field in a much better and more conducive way than the past, where it was always the manager trying to identify what he thought was downstream the problem, putting that in the hands of the workers on site. Now I feel like we can harmonise this information flow upwards, collate, and then deploy back down, which I think is a much better design. So I'm super pumped by where the tech's coming and the sorts of things that we can do that we haven't been able to in the past. Just too hard.
Absolutely. And it's also giving the opportunity for people who aren't as well versed in safety or quality aspects to get trained up in those topics. So there's a handful of products on the market which you can take a photo of a work site and it will prompt you for what hazards it sees within the app. And they're going to be things that it identifies that an average layman may not have considered to be a hazard.
Yeah.
So that now gives them the opportunity to go, I hadn't thought of that before. And it's almost a passive upskilling of the workforce to consider hazards or opportunities for improvement that they hadn't otherwise considered in the past.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah, and what interesting is, like, on day one, you've got a panel around safety with some really cool other panelists like Jeff Blutman from DLC, which is a DLCS, which is a ISO accreditation office, and then you also got Paul Benjamin around the insurance, Benjamin and Benjamin Insurance Brokers. With your positioning at that panel, what are some of the insights that you want the attendees to walk away from at Forge?
The biggest thing is that technology is not scary, and more importantly, safety is not scary. If you can take a collaborative approach, a cooperative approach, and work in with your stakeholders, be they your employees, your insurers, your accreditation bodies, your clients, your consultants, when you have enough people with different voices or different inputs at the table, you can forge a path forward that is going to be different from where you've been going in the past. And you can do it in, like I said, a more efficient, more effective manner. So it does become this incredibly positive cycle, is what I want to call it. So, the biggest issue I have with some of my clients when I'm consulting is that safety is considered a scary thing, or even worse, it's considered a tick box activity, where some business owners don't recognize the value and the benefit that having a robust safety, a robust quality system can have on their business, reducing their costs, potentially reducing their insurance premiums, whereby you can work in with your employees and your other stakeholders and benefit the whole business. And at the same time, there is no single source of truth. One of the things that we have in Australia is that we have a self-regulating safety management practice. All the regulations and the acts, the legalese is all self-enforcing. So there is no black or white, right or wrong answer for the vast majority of cases. We live in a realm of greys. So again, having conversations, getting involved with your stakeholders, bringing people around the table to talk about things will give you the best foot forward. And there's always an opportunity to think differently and bring about a better quality of life for your workforce, which in turn will benefit your business into untold capabilities and untold financial benefit.
That's excellent. Yeah, it all connects together at the end of the day. The outcomes and the ripple effect you make when you do upgrade your systems internally. I always see people just throw more people at the problem instead of actually fixing the internal system. But hopefully that message really gets out there.
I love walking into a business.
I giggle a bit because we're in this Shrek conversation and you talk about being scary, and he scared me a little bit. But we've got to make sure that the audience recognises that it's spelt with a Q, not a K, right? So
yes,
Q for quality, baby.
Q for quality. I mean, one of my favourite things to do is walk into a business and remove checklists and forms and say, is this actually providing you any benefit? No? Get rid of it. Make your life easier. You can still be compliant and make your life easier at the same time. Remove the red tape. Like, you can be so much more effective within your business, and you can win back that goodwill with your workforce. And it just benefits everybody so much.
Yeah. Can I switch the conversation a little bit? When we talk about defining moments in your life, has there ever been a signal that you've stood up and gone, holy crap, I need to get onto that. I need to discuss this further. What's in there? Is there anything like that you've seen?
Oh, there's a few. There's quite a few, actually.
That's a good one.
Oh, look, the first defining moment I'll talk about is during my apprenticeship. I was subcontracted out to a diving company, and we were doing some work at the old BP Kwinana refinery over in Perth. And we had an incident occur with a diver underwater, and he'd taken off his helmet, which is, number one rule: you don't take off your helmet because that's your communications, that's your air supply. This individual decided to take off his helmet. We lost all communication. We couldn't get any feedback through the diving panel or anything like that. So at the time, the first thing we thought was, he's fallen unconscious. Let's pull him back in. So we were reefing on the cables and the hoses to get him back to our side of the boat. And he's come up and he's gone, what on earth were you doing? You almost drowned me. And we're sitting there going, we thought you'd fallen unconscious. We'd lost communications. There was no feedback. We couldn't hear you breathing through the tubes. What was going on? And it defined, that moment where he said, no, I was fine. It really brought me back to, if he could just talk to people, if he told us that he was taking off his hat to readjust his mask, basically, that's internal, underneath the diving helmet. If he just told us what he was doing, we would have been, fine, great, happy days. You do you. Just get back in contact with us and tell us when you're going to be good to go again. And we could have avoided that whole scenario. And that's kind of what kicked me off on this safety journey. I also got docked in to do it by my boss, voluntold, if you call it. It was just simple communication and consultation. If you talk to people first, then everybody's on the same page. Guess what? Like 80 to 90% of your safety issues immediately disappear because everybody's talking. And I've carried that throughout my entire career with the addition of responding, not reacting, which are two very different things. Take the time to think and respond, don't react. communication is the biggest deal in consultation. We've got a legislative requirement to do it. We've got a regulatory requirement to do it. But hey, guess what? If you're just talking to people 99% of the time, you're actually on the same page. And then you can deliver things, in a really intelligent way. And people are willing to go with you for the journey rather than sitting there going, oh, well, they're just doing what they want to do. They're not talking to us. So, yeah, that is the biggest takeaway that I can
communication is key, and things are going to be easier when all of us has a Neuralink and we can just telepathically know what people are thinking. So
well, that was what I was going to ask. If we've got the biggest challenge being one of them being communication potentially, what are the other challenges we've got to allow for communication to be better? Or what are the opportunities we've got on the reverse of that, for communication to be better? Are you seeing anything? Are you sensing anything in the industry with this technological revolution we're leaning into?
I think that now that there's more companies embracing digital technology, either because they want to or because they're being forced into it by head contractors or other stakeholders, that communication is increasing and improving. And as more digital platforms start to talk to each other through APIs, I think we're seeing better communication also happen between head contractors and subcontractors, between developers and builders, purely because we're now seeing the benefits of increased consultation and communication, but the technology is allowing us to do that and keep an understanding of, whose court is the ball in, where do we sit on XYZ topic, without having to go back through 10,000 emails. There's an opportunity for better communication, and with that, I think we're, at least from what I've been personally witnessing, there's better cooperation between different parties across the industry. And it's really exciting to see that the old school thought of us versus them is now starting to break down. And it's just unfortunate that it's happening at a time when the industry is going through a consolidation phase where there has been a drop in investment. At the same time, this is the kind of crucible where people do tend to come together. And that's a wonderful thing to see, better cooperation, better collaboration, especially across the industry. You've got bigger companies that are saying, actually, this piece of work is too small for us. Would you consider, putting this job through, one of our subsidiaries or another company that we work in with every now and then who are a specialist in that area? So there's more selection in the jobs that companies are picking up, as opposed to taking a scattergun approach. Again, it's coming back to that risk aspect of, are you going to take a job for the sake of taking a job, or are you going to take a job because it's going to be profitable and beneficial to your offering to the market?
Yeah, look, it's really interesting. You mentioned on a couple of big ticket items there. We've got a couple of contractors that I'm aware of that believe they've lost jobs because there's such a requirement to price right at the moment, and they think that the winning tenders aren't always fulfilling their safety obligations, the obligations of quality into these jobs, and they're throwing a little bit of caution with the wind as a result of trying to win bids, right? And I get that. That's survival instincts. The other interesting one that you touched on, and really, really, really drills home to me some conversations over the years, is the concept that we get caught up in islands in safety sometimes, and everyone builds their own safety management system and therefore requests all of the subcontractors and all the third parties to adopt to theirs, as opposed to a generic, more constructive, shareable, collaborative environment. I haven't been close enough to the coal face as previous years, but when you say that that's getting better, that makes me smile, because it wasn't the case going back 4 years or 5 years. In fact, I know clients that had to provide up to 7 different unique safety documents for 7 different clients. It's insane, right? Like it's insanity.
There's still a long way to go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'd like to say we've got the silver bullet to that one, But, you know, I'm working with one company and they've got 7 different software platforms that they need to pre-qualify in.
Yes.
And, you know, they've gone through their ISO accreditation process and they've got their ISO 9001, their ISO 45001 and 14001 for quality, safety and environment, respectively. Yep. But in those pre-qualification systems, they then have to provide all the evidence that they've gone through as part of their accreditation process all over again. And it's become an administrative nightmare with repetition. And, unfortunately, I don't see that going away, not for a while. I'd like to be positive and say, yeah, it'll be great to get to a unified compliance system in the next, 12 to 24 months. But everybody's kind of buckled into the platform that they're paying for and they're comfortable with that. So that side I don't see going away. But on the other side of the fence, after a project has been won, we're now seeing a lot more companies run, safety workshops for high-risk works or for activities that are not their standard run-of-the-mill, where they bring in, the head contractor, the subcontractor, maybe a couple of consultants or an engineer, and they sit around the table and they think about how they're going to execute this package of work in advance. And they're shifting away from that kind of, we'll write a SWMS for it and then we'll submit the SWMS and the head contractor will sign off on it and everything will be fine. We're now seeing that collaboration piece where stakeholders are getting involved on high-risk activities or bespoke activities and really thinking about how to do it properly the first time rather than going, we'll figure it out on the fly. So I think there's like a really, really fantastic shift in the market, especially around safety, with high-risk workshops, for example. But they're also now starting to build the quality aspects into that as well, which I think is exciting because now people are thinking that, these two aspects are part of one integrated delivery of product, which is exactly what it is. You can't go in and deliver something really well and go, cool, we'll get a big crane and we'll install a staircase and then we'll figure out if we built the staircase right afterwards. You kind of want to do it in advance or at the same time. And it's exciting to see people getting on board and thinking about these aspects at the same time.
And that's the wonderful bit. We had a question for you coming up around emerging trends. So you've identified emerging trends, which is get back the human characteristic, design together, collaborate together, which then allows for the technology to be deployed in a more efficient and effective manner. That's a big part of Forge, right? Which is it's this strong interconnection between human and tech and designing around those to ensure that we get adoption and we get the manifestation that we seek to get through. And so therefore, that was the question I was going to ask you, but you answered it. So I'll let Phil ask the next question.
Well, we're already approaching that 30-minute mark, which has gone quite quickly, unfortunately. But I think we have time for one more. And one thing I wanted to say is signals of success. What tools do you rely on to stay ahead of the trends and ensure continued success across the industries that you work in?
I have a variety of different tools that I use, but I will say that my most effective tool that I use is simply my network of other safety managers and safety consultants in the industry. I've got my finger on the pulse with various news feeds about legislative changes, regulatory changes, but the best way of identifying the opportunities for improvement is to talk to other people. Again, communication consultation. We don't do everything in the businesses that I work with, and I don't have the answers to everything. But I know that within my network, I can talk to, a couple of the other guys and women within the group, and they've done an aspect of construction that I haven't in the past. So instead of saying, how do you do this? Or is there a document that I can look up? We can actually talk about what was actually done on site. And we can learn from that and go, well, what worked really well or what worked really poorly? for you, and how can we improve upon that and work together as a group of influencers within businesses or consultants to ensure that we are providing the best foot forward. Now, technology in that aspect allows us to keep a history of what happened and what's been done and the documentation that we supplied with it, so that we've got evidence from which to put together, the next step forward. But it's an iterative process. It's all about continual improvement. And, the compliance people will be sitting there waving their flags, going, "Yes, he said it. He said it." But it really is continual improvement, and you can't do that alone. You've got to work in with other people. So, at the end of the day, technology is a tool. It's simply a hammer. It is something that you can use to benefit and make your work easier. So why not then working with other people who've got different tools? You're not just going to get a carpenter to build a whole house. You need other players. You need sparkies and plumbers, other people to get involved. It's the same thing with building, management systems, safety systems. It's all about collaboration, cooperation, and it's sometimes coercion. But if you're talking to people, if you're consulting with people, you're going to be one step ahead of the competition anyway.
That's a fantastic heads up for people in the safety or quality industry. Do you have a particular group, or have you formulated that yourself over time? Where would someone find you today? How would someone find a spot in that group to be able to leverage your skills and knowledge, Alex?
So the group that I've built is through mutual connections, through various networking groups, that kind of thing. But most importantly, it's working with other people throughout my career at different companies or during consulting activities. And they've gone on and shared my name, or I've shared their name. It's been a very word of mouth, growth, which is incredible. But I've got contacts from job interviews that I've done in the past. When I was looking at other lower level positions, and since then, those safety managers have reached out to me and gone, "Hey, we're doing X, Y, Z. You weren't a great fit for our company at the time, but have you done this aspect of work in the past? If so, do you want to talk us through it?" And again, it's just being that refreshing voice of, how can we work together? How can we make your life easier? And, I'm contactable in a variety of ways. You can always find me on my LinkedIn. Putting a website together at some point in the future. I do need to get onto that. But it's one of those things where word of mouth is going to be your most powerful tool, and not everybody in your group is going to be, or if you have a group already, but not everybody in that group is always going to be amenable to helping you with your specific issues. They may not have experience in it. So just reach out to somebody else. The beauty of safety people, I want to say, is that we look for the greater good. We're not tied into it for the profitability of the business. We're there to make sure that people go home and go home safely. So we're all tend to be caring, consultative people. So there's very few safety people that I've reached out to across my entire career, and I don't think I've been snubbed more than once or twice.
Wow. So, and they were blacklisted, and they've never succeeded anyway because they weren't the nicest of people. So on that note,
I'm sure it was just a bad day. It's okay. They can reach out.
I'm sure you're right. They were having a Shrekism, right?
A Shrekism, yeah. Sometimes you just got to go full ogre.
I'm with you.
Mate, that's a good way to end it. That was perfect. Hopefully we can get some of these people at Forge. That'll be great.
It'll be wonderful. I do hope that anybody who has the opportunity to come to Forge does come to Forge. You're going to meet some incredible people with some incredible mindsets, and everybody is there to benefit you, benefit your business, and kind of build a better network of better people. and I'm incredibly proud to have been invited along to be a part of it. It's going to be a wonderful summit.
Beautiful.
Alex, thank you so much. We've hit the 35. I think you're winning now. You are the official winner. 34 was the previous record. 35 now takes the mantle. Well done. That went too easy, too fast, and too simple. There'll be lots of takeaways from that. Thank you so much for attending and helping us forge forward into 2024, 2025.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you.